and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me?
50 Cent just dropped some exclusive behind-the-scenes footage that, according to him, Terrence Howard personally sent over. And it's centered around the so-called freak-offs allegedly orchestrated by Diddy. Terrence Howard seems ready to blow the lid off everything, and the tea is hotter than ever. For years, Terrence has dropped hints about being blackballed from the industry because he refused to play along with certain shady backroom deals. But now, with a fresh wave of claims targeting Diddy, the curtain is finally being pulled back. People are starting to piece together just who was really running the show behind those velvet ropes. And let's not pretend Diddy's the only name caught up in this whirlwind. Terrence isn't holding back. He even took a jab at Diddy's rumored fling, Young Miami. Word is, she wasn't just a guest at those wild parties. She might have been more involved than anyone imagined. And what's really lighting up phones and group chats everywhere is what Terrence says he caught on camera. Let's just say, it's way beyond the usual industry chatter. This isn't your average rumor. It's the kind of scandal that can flip the table on its side. What's even more shocking is that Terrence came forward with all this out of nowhere. Nobody even knew he had anything on Diddy, but then, boom! He appears on a podcast and unloads everything. From the sound of it, Terrence's experiences seem to align suspiciously well with the long-standing whispers about Diddy's behind-the-scenes dealings. And let's talk about these supposed setups. According to Terrence, he got a first-hand look at how it all went down. He claims Diddy reached out, supposedly looking for help with acting, but something didn't add up. Sure, Diddy's dabbled in acting here and there, but it's not like he's tackling roles that would require someone as seasoned as Terrence Howard to step in as a personal coach. This whole situation reeks of something deeper, and Terrence's revelations have everyone questioning what was really going on behind the glitz and glamour. When Terrence showed up expecting a straightforward business meeting, the vibe shifted almost instantly. The professional pretense faded fast as Diddy allegedly started moving in a way that suggested he had a completely different agenda. Sensing that things were taking a turn, Terrence wasted no time. He put his foot down right then and there, making it clear he wasn't about to play along with whatever was unfolding. He shut it down on the spot and walked out without hesitation. But Terrence didn't stop with that one moment. He went on to allege that this wasn't an isolated incident. According to him, Diddy had tried this same approach on multiple occasions, targeting other men who'd attended his infamous parties. Terrence painted a picture of an atmosphere that went far beyond the usual industry socializing. It wasn't just a bit wild. It was downright unsettling. He even suggested that attendees left those parties with more than just hangovers, implying that their dignity took a hit too. This isn't just a case of questionable behavior. It's a deeper, more troubling story of a power dynamic that has long lurked behind closed doors. And the kicker? This isn't the first time Terrence has spoken out about these kinds of scenarios in Hollywood. He's been sounding the alarm for years, claiming that his departure from acting wasn't due to a lack of roles or enthusiasm. No, Terrence said he was pushed out because he refused to conform to what he called Hollywood's twisted rulebook. Back when he announced his retirement in December 2022, it took many by surprise. After all, he was still landing major roles, enjoying widespread fan support, and had no public scandals or studio disputes. On the surface, everything seemed fine. But according to Terrence, the real story was far more insidious. Behind the scenes, he was being cornered into compromising positions, tested to see how far he'd go to maintain his career. And when he held his ground, when he wouldn't bend to the pressure, he says Hollywood started to freeze him out. It's a familiar script. Terrence likened it to the way outspoken women in the industry have been treated, portrayed as difficult, cast aside, and subjected to whisper campaigns. The playbook may be old, but the players keep changing. In Terrence's case, he insists that once he refused to participate in the games, the machine turned on him. It wasn't a voluntary fade-out, it was a calculated push to the margins, all because he chose to hold on to his principles instead of playing along. Terrence Howard has been vocal about the challenges he faced behind the scenes in Hollywood, describing a systematic effort to undermine his sense of manhood. When he stood his ground and refused to give in, it didn't sit well with the industry powers. The result? A quiet, unceremonious exit. No dramatic headlines, just a fading from view. Though he eventually returned to acting, Terrence came back with a new approach. He wasn't holding anything back. Now, he's peeling away the glossy surface of Hollywood to reveal what he says is a deeply entrenched, shady underbelly. A recurring point he's made is the relentless pressure to wear a dress on screen. Terrence insists these roles weren't tied to compelling storylines or artistic expression. They felt like deliberate attempts to degrade him, to chip away at his masculinity little by little. And this isn't just a Terrence Howard story. Over the years, numerous black actors have shared eerily similar experiences, roles that shoehorned in cross-dressing for no clear reason, scenes that didn't serve the plot, and expectations that seemed more about humiliation than creativity. Comedian Cat Williams famously brought this issue into the spotlight during a revealing interview with Shay. He didn't hold back, describing how the pressure to act more feminine or put on a dress often came with tantalizingly large paychecks. But Williams made it clear he wasn't for sale. He recounted turning down lucrative offers multiple times because he wasn't willing to compromise his integrity. According to Cat, this push to trade image and respect for money is far more widespread than people think, and Terrence is right there alongside him, saying he won't fall for it either. When Cat Williams' interview started making waves, sparking widespread discussion, Terrence didn't hesitate to join in. He shared his own experiences and doubled down on his refusal to play along with Hollywood's games. His words carried weight. The long circulating rumors that Terrence was difficult to work with or prone to losing his temper, he dismissed them outright, framing them as a smokescreen for a deeper, more uncomfortable reality. Terrence made it clear that those narratives were an attempt to silence him, to discredit a man who stood firm against an industry that expects compliance at any cost. Terrence Howard has never minced words about why he was replaced, making it clear he wasn't let go for being difficult on set. In his view, the real reason was his refusal to compromise his pride. He stood tall against an industry that he felt wanted to belittle him, to break him down. According to Terrence, that defiance was why they decided to move on without him. He backed it up with a memorable quote from his father. "My daddy taught me, never take the vertebrae out your back or the base out your throat. I ain't raised no sheep. I raised men. Stay a man." For Terrence, being a man in today's society comes with a cost. He went on to say that the world is no longer built for real men, claiming that everything has become androgynous. He argued that the more successful men are these days, the softer they're expected to appear. In another interview, Terrence didn't shy away from these points, alleging that there's a deliberate effort to diminish masculinity, particularly among strong black men. He claimed this new formula aims to effeminate men, robbing them of their power and their connection to their inner strength. Terrence doubled down on his belief that society seems more comfortable with strong white men, but when a black man refuses to be subdued, he becomes a target. He wasn't willing to shrink himself or alter his character to fit into a pre-written narrative. "I'm not removing any part of myself just to make your story work," he stated. "Maybe it's your story that needs to grow." In his eyes, men should be able to embrace their strength without apologizing for it, and at the same time, they should celebrate women's beauty and power without losing their own identity. Lately, Terrence's outspokenness, especially regarding Diddy, has fans and observers piecing things together. As more of his claims come to light, they seem to connect dots that weren't obvious before. But this isn't the end of it. Insiders are buzzing that Terrence is still sitting on information that could cause even bigger ripples, details that might be more explosive than anything he's revealed so far. One recurring name in these whispers is Diddy's rumored side piece, Young Miami. After Terrence's interviews went viral, 50 Cent initially tried to steer clear of the drama. But as the rumors and claims have continued to swirl, it's getting harder for anyone to stay on the sidelines. Terrence Howard once posted cryptically, saying only, "No comment, I'm staying positive, God help us all." But lately, it seems like he's shifted his tone. Now he's hinting at some eyebrow-raising claims surrounding a certain freak-off video. According to reports, Terrence allegedly filmed this footage himself at one of Diddy's infamous parties. And what's supposedly in this video? Allegations point to Young Miami caught in a compromising situation, something far from ordinary party behavior. By this point, the rumors aren't exactly shocking. People have been whispering about Young Miami's possible deeper involvement in these wild events for a while. And it's not just about being a bystander. The allegations go further. Some say she may have played an active role in these notorious gatherings, not as a victim but allegedly as a willing participant or even a conspirator. These claims come with receipts that are making more and more people raise their eyebrows. Take, for example, what happened when Gina Huan, another rumored connection to Diddy, posted a photo of herself with him. Young Miami allegedly didn't just toss out a casual comment, she reportedly came out swinging. Sources claim she made harsh remarks, throwing shade and heat at Gina. Allegedly, she threatened that Diddy would force Gina into one of those wild parties as a form of revenge. The messages that started circulating weren't subtle. Miami supposedly said things like, "Gina, you've been down bad ever since I came into the picture. You've been crying for a baby for 15 years. You've been a placeholder. That EP and Diddy gave you crumbs when he felt like it. You an eater." Miami's alleged tirade didn't stop there. She reportedly went further, calling Gina out as the same girl who cried to Tasha K about wanting a baby, mocking her with lines like, "I have a career. You a certified freak. You haven't heard from Diddy since the awards. You the one talking about getting rid of babies. Let that hurt go, hun." Then came the jaw dropper. "If I wanted you to eat me, Diddy would have had you on your knees. You would have been a munch." That particular comment sent the internet into a frenzy, with people spinning it into memes and debates all over social media. But the drama didn't stop there. According to reports, when yet another one of Diddy's rumored partners turned up pregnant, Young Miami's name surfaced again. Some insiders allege that this woman was bullied and pressured into silence. While none of this is confirmed, the growing number of claims and whispers is starting to paint a tangled, scandalous picture. One that's still unfolding, with Terrence Howard and Young Miami sitting right at the center of the storm. Court documents filed by a woman identified only as Jane Doe tell a disturbing tale. She claims she was coerced into consuming substances in Diddy's bathroom, substances she later discovered allegedly contained ketamine or a similar mixture. According to the filing, Jane Doe traveled to Diddy's Los Angeles mansion in July 2022 at his request, and while there, she was compelled to ingest an unknown substance against her will. What she described next is deeply unsettling. Jane Doe says the substances caused her to lose consciousness, waking up only intermittently, confused, and completely unaware of what had happened. When she regained full consciousness, she found herself bruised and battered, visible signs, she claims, that something terrible had occurred while she was blacked out. Even more troubling, she alleges that this wasn't a one-time occurrence. Jane Doe states that this pattern repeated itself multiple times, spanning from July 2022 all the way through July 2024. According to her, Diddy would regularly ply her with drinks and drugs, compelling her to perform for him until she passed out, only to awaken covered in bruises and with no memory of the events that transpired. But the story doesn't end there. Jane Doe also claims that during this ordeal, she became pregnant, and that's when everything took a darker turn. She alleges that once Diddy was informed of the pregnancy, the harassment began. Specifically, Jane Doe says Young Miami started tormenting her, pushing her towards a miscarriage. The bullying allegedly escalated to the point that it caused her to lose the baby. Legal documents further state that Jane Doe had taken a pregnancy test that confirmed the pregnancy, but soon after informing Diddy, she faced intense pressure to terminate it. Jane Doe also names another individual, Carrie Brownlee, reportedly a known associate of Diddy, whom she accuses of relentless harassment. Brownlee allegedly urged her repeatedly to get rid of the baby, leaving her in an unbearable situation. These allegations, if true, paint a grim picture of repeated abuse, coercion, and a system of intimidation that caused not only profound physical and emotional harm, but also life-altering consequences. Jane Doe claims she lost the baby shortly after the harassment began and subsequently cut off all contact with Diddy and his circle for almost 3 months. What's raising eyebrows now is that Carrie Brownlee, better known as Young Miami from City Girls, is heavily implicated in the latest allegations. Based on her previous actions, fans aren't finding these claims too hard to believe. For For instance, people still remember her public meltdown when news broke in 2022 that Diddy had fathered a child with another woman. That drama alone painted a picture of someone deeply invested in her connection to Diddy, and now, even more explosive details are emerging. In an updated filing from Lil Rod, also known as Mr. Jones, things take an even darker turn. This lawsuit doesn't just call out Diddy, it also points a finger at Young Miami, suggesting she was far more involved in these infamous gatherings than previously known. According to Rod's claims, she wasn't merely a bystander at these parties. Instead, she allegedly played a significant role, with her own family members participating in the chaos. One especially disturbing account describes an incident where Young Miami's cousin allegedly assaulted Mr. Jones. The filing states that when Jones left the room to avoid Diddy's alleged offer of cocaine, Young Miami's cousin followed him into the bathroom. There, she reportedly groped him, dropped to her knees, and tried to force an unwanted act on him. Mr. Jones managed to push her away and leave the bathroom, but it didn't stop there. The cousin allegedly kept pursuing him, taking off her clothes and trying to force herself on him in front of Diddy and his staff. This wasn't the only troubling event described in the lawsuit. Another incident allegedly occurred on Thanksgiving night in 2022 at a Miami recording studio. Mr. Jones claimed Diddy asked him and another man, Forrest Taylor, to join him in the bathroom, where Diddy allegedly requested a $100 bill to use for cocaine. According to Jones, he managed to avoid getting caught up in the situation simply because he didn't have cash on hand. However, Diddy didn't let the moment go to waste. Not long after, he allegedly engaged in the same behavior with Young Miami instead. Adding another layer to the saga, Terrence Howard has come forward with claims that paint an even more damning picture. Howard alleges that Young Miami played a direct role in Diddy's operations, helping him acquire and deliver substances whenever and wherever he needed them. These accusations suggest a level of involvement far deeper than anyone imagined, tying Young Miami not just to the scandalous parties, but also to the logistics that kept the whole operation running. Court documents from rehearsals for the Something in the Water Festival in Virginia paint a messy picture. Mr. Jones claims he personally witnessed Diddy doing lines of coke right in his dressing room. The chaos only deepened when, according to the filing, Diddy requested a particular substance, Tucci, but his assistant, Brendan, failed to bring it. Enter Christina Coram. The lawsuit alleges that Coram arranged for the substance to be flown in from Miami. That's how high the stakes were. But that's not all. The documents go on to claim that Young Miami wasn't just a party guest. Along with Jade and Daphne Joy, she was allegedly receiving monthly payments to serve as private entertainers for Diddy. The money trail reportedly leads back to Robin Greenhill, who was said to have wired these payments. The filing frames this as part of a larger criminal enterprise, painting a picture of systematic arrangements rather than one-off occurrences. At this point, the connection between Young Miami and Diddy is looking more complex. And now, it seems 50 Cent has reportedly gotten his hands on videos that supposedly show her caught in the act. If there's one thing everyone knows, it's that 50 Cent isn't shy about stirring the pot. With a long history of public feuds, especially with Diddy, 50 thrives on airing dirty laundry, and he has the social media presence to make sure it goes viral. If those videos surface, they could reshape the narrative yet again. This latest development has fans and followers buzzing. Is Young Miami deeper in this than she's let on? As Terrence Howard's claims circulate and more alleged receipts come to light, the story keeps escalating. And with 50 in the mix, it's only a matter of time before something else drops, leaving everyone glued to the next chapter of this wild saga.